Deja.
And this is the JT Talk, coming to you live to inform and discuss about college versus trade school versus just staying at home.
From two different worlds and standpoints in an effective way to look at it.
All right, let's start. All right, so college versus trade school versus just staying at home. I want to ask, what did you do? Did you go to college? Did you go to trade school? Did you just work yourself from the bottom up, from home?
I did all three.
No.
I swear I did all three. Because, so the first time I tried college, maybe back in 2013, 2014, that didn't work for me. Then I just started working. And then from working, I went to a trade school.
What did you go for?
I went for medical assistant. So then I got my certification as a medical assistant. And then from there, after I finished, I just continued to work. And then some odd years later, I went into college.
Again?
Yes. Twice.
In this JT Talk, I really want to stress how important education can be. Education is, because it is very, very important. It's something that we need to go higher and know more, really. But I'm not discouraging people that have worked themselves from the ground up. I don't want to discourage those people because that path is viable. I'm just saying that path is very tough without any education. And it might be a hard battle for you. And I think that this whole conversation may be able to give some clarity to people on the pros and cons of all three, of going to trade school or going to college or just working yourself from the ground up, because that's where I'm at right now. I'm just going to be honest. I went to college. Didn't really work out for me. I did not finish, but I'm very, very close to finishing. I just need about 2 or 3 classes left. The reason why I have not finished is because I realized the major that I'm in currently is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's not where I see myself having a career in. And I don't think that I would ever use it, which is why I'm okay, now I need to pivot and shift and feel and see where I want to go. And that's where I was kind of at right now. I had to pivot and shift. Say that.
No, I'm just getting confirmation, just listening to this. And it's just interesting because God speaks.
Yes.
And for a little bit now, it's been saying, go to school. And in me going to school, my thing is, okay, God, I'm going to finish the last 6 classes that I have left in college. But the more he says go to school, just listening to you saying that, you have to take that shift. And for me, it's just I wanted to do the whole human service administration, but it was because it was something my mom was doing, and I wanted to actually make myself go to school. But the one thing that I honestly want to go back to school for, and it's not saying that I wouldn't finish my human service just to finish it, to have something under my belt, in the future. But the one thing that I do want to go back to school for, a lot of people may consider it a trade, but it would be for hair.
For hair, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just interesting because it's just getting that confirmation, and I've been kind of just looking into school, so I'm just God, I love makeup, I love hair, I love doing nails. I don't mind touching people's feet. This would be something that I would get myself back into just because of the direction that I want to go. It all ties into everything.
It really does. And I'm just going to piggyback on what you were saying with God speaking. God really does speak a lot. And for me, I've always been connected to God my whole life. But when I was 18 and I was getting ready to go into college, I had such tunnel vision. I was I need to go to college. 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 And that will make me successful. That will give me everything that I want. That will give me everything that I need. And I had such tunnel vision that I could not listen to God's voice telling me to slow down. And maybe if I had slowed down and took a year off, maybe when I did end up going back to school, I would have finished all the way through. But because of that, I went into college undecided. Then I realized I had a talent in math and science, so I wanted to go into engineering. That didn't work out for me because there were certain teachers at my university that their accent was hard to understand, and they did, from my perspective, they might have worked with other students and they might have been working for other people. But for me, it just wasn't a good fit for me. So I ended up shifting from engineering to math. That also didn't work out for me. And from there, I went out of school. And then I was left not knowing what to do. And I was left in a place where I was just like, I don't know what to do. And God was just like, keep moving forward, basically. And so that's what I did. I started working at Cheesecake Factory. Well, no, I started working at D'Angelo's at first because that's where my summer job was. And then from there, I applied to Cheesecake Factory because I wanted to make a step up. And then from that step up, I went in. It's crazy how this even happened. It's actually really, really crazy how this happened. But now I'm working in a school as an administrator with no degree. God opened the door for me to work in schools. He opened the door for me, and he opened the door for me. But as I was saying, God opened that door for me to be in a school and making good money. Like, I'm making good money right now. I'm working in a school and I don't have any degree, but God has been like shifting me back to like really look at my education and my whole journey and how it was. And oh yeah, eventually I landed on English major, but I don't want to do that. I'm almost finished with my English major whole thing. But he had me to overlook my whole journey and what do I truly want to do and what I really want to get into. I've been going to different schoolings, but like they've all been for Christian based things, which isn't bad. That's great. I'm now a minister. I have my honorary doctorate. I now am. There's so many paths that you can go. Don't get so much tunnel vision when you're young because, especially if you're 18 and you're looking at your options now, I want to encourage you not to get tunnel vision like I did because that was one of my biggest regrets.
So I have something to say. Okay, so for me, being a person that at first, when I was maybe like 20, and I tried to go into school, into college, and I was like undecided. My major was undecided when I first went, and that didn't last very long. So I started to work just because I felt I had so many like areas in which I felt as though I was good in, and I could see myself like going down those different paths. So it was kind of hard to make that decision. So what I did was I went into medical assistant, and me going into medical assistant, it kind of gave me that certification, but it gave me the almost like security in which I needed. If I wanted to get a job within the medical field, then I could have go down that path and I could have broadened in those areas in the medical field. And so when I finished that, it was interesting because I didn't necessarily become a medical assistant, but I still had the knowledge. I went into the nursing home, and me being in the nursing home, it just kind of just showed me that I may not be a medical assistant, but I can still use this degree towards the residents and the people within, but also working the job and then going to that trade school and giving me just the knowledge and kind of like a taste of what knowledge can be and where it can lead you. It also helps me to want to later on in the future go into an actual college setting. So it's just like when we do a trade school, it's almost like laying a foundation. Some people take trades and they can run with that trade, but then it's just like some people will take that trade and they'll sit with it for a little bit, and it kind of gives them that ammunition and that push to go on to a deeper study in another field to learn when I allowed it to let me get that certification, have something under my belt, and say, you know what? Now with medical assistance, I'm going to go into human service administration, and then so it all ties in, and then from there, I took a whole entire just different step in general, because I took a leap from medical assistant into human service administration, and now all the way into BVI physiology. And the interesting thing is, we may not use all of these certifications or degrees within the field that we are in at the moment, but it's interesting because as time goes on, each and everything that you have learned, it kind of helps you to be more diverse in that particular area in which you are stationed or positioned in for the time being. So each part, it gives you the knowledge for either just life circumstances or how to care for friends or loved ones. It helps you to have a broadened mindset, a broadened opinion, a broadened understanding of those around, and it helps to kind of just build you up. So it's just like, for me, trade is a good thing because you can also accumulate that security that you need to get that education, and it's a shorter, brief process, and it can actually sustain you, especially if it's like, what you're looking for. And college does the same thing, except for it's more like a long-term stretch until you get that actual degree or the certification that you need. But at the same time, with the trade, you can also, because a lot of people, I know it's trade versus college, but at the same time, the educational piece, some people think it's like, I don't have to go to school to be educated, which is a true thing.
Is true.
You can still have that trade and still study upon what you need to get. And God, His favor, He opens doors and brings you to places that you wouldn't have thought you could have been if you didn't have that degree or diploma or whatever it may be. But it's at the same time, at least walking into that situation, even if it's picking up that book or even if it's walking into the school, at least when you get into where you need to be, you're prepared and you actually know a little bit deeper than what you already know. So it's like deepening your knowledge.
Yes, it's deepening your knowledge. And like I was saying, like with college, I would just, for those of you who are choosing to go that route, I would take your time in making your decision. Not that I regretted going to college, but I regret making my decision so quick, because I did have other options on the table, but I did not wait. I went and rushed it because I felt that urgency. So when you're getting ready to get out of high school, ignore that urgency. Ignore it, because it's not going to help you in any way. You'll just rush to make a decision. I learned so much in college. I thank God that I was able to go through my college experience, because I was able to learn so much. But like she was saying, she went to a trade school and it laid that foundation for her, and it allowed her to build upon it and give her that drive to want to go to college again. And it just gives her a broader outlook on what education is and all the different fields that she's able to be a part of, because she's such a multifaceted individual.
Thanks. But no, also, because we did say versus staying at home, but also it's interesting because when you said urgency, staying at home was another path that I took. So like I said in the beginning, I did all three. And for me, when I first graduated from high school, I didn't directly go straight into college. I didn't. I had that period of maybe 2 years where I basically stayed home. And with that being said, me having to stay home, I ventured into the world. And I'm not telling everybody go venture into the world, do what you want to do. If that's how that's where your life is at this point. It's just those life experiences, the people that you come in contact with, those are some of the things that also push and motivate you to want more life circumstances. Because just me looking back, if I didn't take those 3 years and I didn't stay home and I didn't kind of get into some I would have looked at the things that I was doing like, okay, you know what, this is great. I'm just gonna be mediocre. I'm not gonna go to school. I can just do this for the rest of my life. So it was in those situations where I had my bumps, my ups, my downs, looking around at the people, not necessarily judging them, but seeing what they weren't doing and seeing where I wanted more. So those situations actually pushed me to want to say, you know what, let me make this change for myself because I don't want to see myself stuck. I don't want to see myself in that same position. So staying at home, it has its ups and it has its downs because then staying at home, that could be other times where you could be using it wisely to get to where you are. And it can cause delays to where you should or could be in this particular moment, even though nothing is like accidental. Everything happens for a reason because if it didn't happen, you wouldn't be who you are. But at the same time, taking that time and using it wisely and kind of just doing introspection and looking at the people in the world around you and letting that be your fuel to go forward and to guide your direction of where you want to be.
Yeah, I just want to encourage you guys. There's no shame in staying home. If you need that time, take that time. If you need it, take it. Because you might have so many different ideas in your head, so many things that you want to do, but you don't know how to actualize it yet, and you don't know which path you need to take. If you need to take that time to just, okay, let me regroup and plan and like set up a strategy to get to your goal. One of my favorite verses in the Bible, it says, "Write the vision and make it plain." If you write down that vision of if you take your step back, take a time to write a vision out, write a plan out of what you want to go on, and you make it plain on that paper, there's gonna be more of a, I don't know the word, there's gonna be more of a willpower. There's gonna be more of a willpower for you to achieve that goal than you just saying, I wanna do this. Because now it's written on paper and everybody can see it. So you're gonna be like, okay, like that I wrote down, I want to do that. This is what I'm gonna do, and this is the plan that I have for it. So let's go and execute now. Let's go and execute that plan. Because if you're not writing that vision down and making it plain, like yeah, that's great that you have a plan in your head and in your mind, but I want to encourage you to write a vision and make it plain.
Because then when you're writing it down, you see the steps that you need to take, and then you figure out how am I going to take this step? What do I need to accumulate to be able to go forward? It's like there's different. How would I say it? There are different avenues within your plan that you have to execute before you get there. So writing it down, like you said, it makes it so much more clearer for you to actualize it. Because what does it? See it, believe it, achieve it. When you're able to see it, you believe in it, and then you can achieve it. And also, when you were saying that, the scripture that came to mind, I'm not sure what scripture, but book in the Bible comes from. No, not that one. But seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And it's just like, yes, it's in the Bible. Yes, you seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in the Bible. But it's also in all things that you do. Even when we're writing that vision, you have to get the wisdom to write the vision, how you're going to carry it out, the knowledge, so that when you get there, you're prepared, and the understanding, so then when you're in that situation, you're prepared and you have the wisdom for it, you can be able to understand it and to be able to give it to those around you, and so you know what you're actually doing yourself. So it's just like there's different steps in which you need to take to actually those plans actualize, and when God starts to kind of manifest these plans into your actual.
And I hope you guys are seeing like a pattern in all three of these things. There's pros and cons to each avenue that you can take. From staying at home, there's pros and cons to that. You might have more time to yourself, more time to explore the world, more time. And the con is now you might feel mediocre. You might get down on yourself. You might say, well, this is my lot in life.
I'm not getting ahead. I'm not where I want to be.
In trade school, that has its pros and cons too.
Mhm.
I don't know the specific ones because I've never been in a trade school.
So for me, like I would say for like trade school, I would say the pro for me it was like being able to get that certification. The con, on the other hand, was it was like really jam packed with information in a shorter period of time. So it's just like you're cramming, and not everybody learns in that kind of cram style where it's just like you have 4 weeks in this class, 4 weeks in that class, 4 weeks in the next class. Now it's time to take this big test, and it's just like, whoa, that was so much information thrown at me. Yes, I've caught some. Yes, I'm supposed to be studying on the outside, but how is one to really retain everything? Everyone's mind works different. Everybody works different on how they retain information. But for me, that was just kind of one of like my cons. But then if the pro was okay, you know what? Now before I get my certification, now to see the information that I got retained, because I'm a visual learner, now I get to go into my externship, which was in Mass General Hospital, and now I get to put the skills at play, doing the urinalysis, doing phlebotomy, doing the vital signs, patients check in, check out, talking to the doctors. Those were the easier parts. But on the other hand, it was more so like, wait, can I get all of the medical terminologies that I need? But if I get here one day, I don't have that person to actually help, because medical terminology is literally from 3 to 4 weeks, and there's thousands and thousands of medical terminologies that you need. And then once it's done, it's like it's just kind of done unless you're doing that study on your own. So it has its pros because, like, I learned rhinorrhea, which means already like you can't all the other medical terminology. But on the upside of the pro, I've got a chance to actually step my foot inside of the actual hospital and just have that hands-on experience and kind of see visually if it's something that I like or something that I wouldn't like.
And on the college end of things, there's pros and cons to that as well. The pro, I would say, is you get your degree. You meet so many different people. You meet so many different walks in life. You learn time management. That is one thing that I have taken away from college that has got me so far in all my different jobs that I've had. Time management. Because like in trade school, you get a lot of information thrown at you. Yes, it's over a long period of time, but it's still a lot of information thrown at you. And now you have to think about how to balance your life, balance your social life, balance if you're doing sports, balance if you have homework, balance if you need to study for a test, balance if you need to call your parents and when you need to call them, when you need to connect with them. You learn a lot of time management, because if you don't have that, you fail out very, very quick. Some of my friends that I had freshman year, they did not make it to the end because they did not realize the time that it took to actually take a class. When you take an hour-long class, you're supposed to be taking 2 hours to study and do homework outside of class. So when you add that class to your category, whatever, your list, your schedule, you're actually adding 3 hours. You're actually adding 3 hours to your day instead of 1 hour. It may seem like you're just adding 1 hour, but you're actually adding 3. And that's what it's like. You have to actually factor all of that in. Like, okay, I need to take this time to study. I need to take that time. That will be my practice time for when I play sports, because I am an athlete. This will be the time that I use for my social time. This will be the time that I use for my family. And then you have to get up and do it all over again the next day. And figure out how you're going to have money at the end of the day. Because after college, one of the cons, you end up with a lot of debt. You end up with a lot of debt.
Trade school too. That's the thing. You end up with a lot of debt.
You end up with a lot of debt.
And you know what's interesting? Well, not even interesting. Another con to the trade school list. don't get extracurricular activities, it is solely based on what you want to do on that particular area of study. If you're going to be a medical assistant, there's no extracurricular. Straight medical assistant. You want to be a massage therapist, the only extracurricular activity you get is lunch.
Massaging and lunch.
It's lunch and your break. That's it. Everything else is solely medical.
So it's just, we just want to like let you know about your options and the pros and cons to them, and like the ups and downs, because there's ups and downs in everything that you would want to do. Even if you're just working from home and you're like, okay, I want to work myself up to it from the ground into a millionaire. I don't want to go to school. You're still gonna have to learn some stuff. You're still going to have to seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You're going to have to learn how to network with people, because you're going to have to work with people. If you're going to have people under you, you're going to be your own CEO. You're going to have employees.
That's like, for example, when I was first starting Kingdom Class, like, I can say that a lot of the information that I do, it was just through praying to be God that I learned how to kind of like start the whole business. But for me to want to understand like vending and being able to like sell and different things like that, and I had to like literally go into college. I took like 2 classes at New Hampshire State University. I took 2 classes because I wanted to understand and have that knowledge behind whatever it was I was doing. Granted, I didn't go to any other classes because those were the 2 major things that I was kind of focused on, the classes that I took, but I had to step my foot into the educational piece, even if it was me finding classes within, there was like the Roxbury, they give out free classes for business, and I had to go sit down and I had to educate myself on these different topics so that I wasn't just throwing myself out there for failure. And not only did I look at it for myself, but if other people were to come to me about information when it came to business, at least I would have that information to kind of pour into someone else. So education, it's about where we want to go, but it's not always just about us. It's also about the things that we can also give to others when they're in particular situations, or if they need vital information. This may be that person that's really diverse in that area and can give sufficient advice. So it's just like education for yourself, but it's for those around you as well to make a difference in their lives.
So we've talked about colleges, we've talked about trade school, we've talked about staying home, we've talked about the pros and cons, we've talked about making a vision. So I want to talk about what keys you need to actually succeed in these paths. It's a good
I did take it.
And even though we haven't seen the end of our paths, I think that we have had enough. We've seen enough to know that we're gonna make it through. I know that I'm gonna make it through because I have my God with me. Number one, major key. I have a relationship with Jesus. Major key. That's the number one major key, because He will give you the knowledge, He will give you the wisdom, He will direct you in which way you're supposed to walk, because He knows you better than you even know yourself, and He wishes to get into a relationship with you. So, biggest key ever is to get into a relationship with God. I promise you that He will take you so far, and it might not be where you want to go, but it's where He would be most. He has a plan for you. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, saith the Lord. Plans to prosper and give you a future and an expected end. So get into a relationship with God. That's a major key. Number 2, I would say for you guys, persistence is key. Persistence. Yes, consistency, but I want to talk about persistence. Persistence is when you keep on going, on going, you keep on going, you keep on going, even when you fall down. That's when persistence starts. When you start to fall down and when you start going through those hard times and you keep on going at it anyway, you need that type of mentality. You need that type of like energy. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a boss type energy. Like you're gonna keep on going no matter what, and it doesn't matter if anybody says anything to you because you're a king type energy.
And also, when I look at the word persistence, just coming from my perspective, it's just like being persistent. It's like you do get knocked down, and you have your moments where you feel weak, and it's just like after having that down time, it's just kind of just getting back up, because it's just like no one says that we have to be strong all the time.
Yep.
And it's even when that path is changed, when what's in front of you doesn't look the same as though you thought it would look, or if you lose that job, or if you end up leaving that school and you have to go to another school, or you don't have the finances to cover, so you have to pull back. It's still being persistent to your word and getting back on that path, even if it's after 3 weeks, even if it's after 3 months, or even 3 years. It's still knowing that you are going to keep on keeping on regardless of what it looks like, what's coming at you, what's being said, what your thoughts are saying. It's just saying to yourself, you know what, I will accomplish this. I will continue. And even if that means some days where all you can do is go to your bookshelf and pick up a book and read up on whatever it is that you are trying to stay in for school, or just finding those videos and just kind of keeping yourself refreshed and alive in those areas of knowledge that you like that you're going to school for.
Yep. I have 2 more keys for you. Consistency, because I touched on persistence, which ties into consistency. You want to stay consistent with what you're doing. If you're not consistent with it, it's gonna shrivel up and die. It's just like feeding someone. If you don't feed them, if you don't feed that thing that you want to do, it's gonna die. You have to give it food. You have to consistently give it food. You have to nurture it. You have to take care of it. You gotta give it some tender love and care. Anything that you do, you have to be consistent. You have to be persistent, and have a relationship with God. Number 1. And finally, the final key that I have for you: be creative and open-minded, because you're going to have a lot of different obstacles in your way, and you're gonna need to want to pivot sometimes. You're gonna need to be like, okay, like you're gonna have to have some creative solutions to your problems, and you might need to maneuver around it with different methods, with different ways of thinking, with different things, because not every problem has the same solution sometimes.
I was going to say another key that's very, very, very important, especially when it comes to going to either trade, school, or be at home, is your self-awareness. Because we could be going towards a career path or anything that if we feel as though it's where we should be, and it's good to be able to sit down, be aware of when that door closes, and to be able to have that introspection with self, because through life we change, our mindset changes, things come at us and it changes us. So it's not to say not to be persistent, but it's saying that your persistency, it changes in the direction of, it changes direction when we change in life. So it's being aware to know when to kind of fall back and say, you know what, when I was at this age, when I was at this stage, this was working for me. This is something or somewhere I see myself going. But now that I'm getting older, or now that this is happening, I now want to take a different path. Because if we're not self-aware of the changes within ourselves and where we're going, and the changes that kind of look like life gives us, we'll try to push into a door, try to go somewhere where we clearly are meant to take a detour and go somewhere else that can bring you towards another path that you didn't know you were good at. So always stay open and always have that self-awareness of where you are at that time. And do just an introspection and a check-up on yourself, where you are mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, because all these things matter.
friends of mine have literally gotten through classes simply because they made friends with their teacher, not because they actually knew the content in the class, but because they made good friends with their teacher and they were able to talk them up and talk to the point of getting them a good grade because the teacher liked them and wanted to see them pass.
Pause. I understand good people skills. Don't bring your teacher after we'll study.
Yes.
Like,
Don't bribe your teachers, but I'm saying that have good people skills. If you're struggling in a certain subject, you want to get that teacher in your pocket to want to help you and help you study and help you learn the information, help you learn the content. I'm just saying that as an example. Sorry.
I'm like, there we go. Hold on, wait, pause.
That was just an example. But this is what I'm saying. Like, you just need to have good people skills. Maybe you need to have good people skills to talk with your other classmates so you can create a study group. Or maybe you need to have good people skills so you could talk to other people to become your employees if you're working yourself from home. Or maybe you need to have good people skills to talk to anyone. Maybe like you need to talk to your mom or your dad or someone that has a little bit more wisdom in a certain area than you. Because if you don't have those people skills and you're sitting there by yourself, you can only get so far on your own. You can only get so far on your own. Yes, you might be very smart, you might be very capable, you might be very talented, you might be very gifted, but that will only take you so far. You need others to build you up as well. Yeah.
I was gonna say people skills are very just important in life. Just how you maneuver through life. Even if it's just speaking to your landlord. Even if you don't pick a career because you want to go like do something extravagant, but just in your small community, even just talking to the car that's like literally going so slow and you're trying to rush and you want to stick your head out the window and throw up the finger. Like your people skills are very important in that setting too. Walking in the grocery store, just volunteering somewhere. It's just like those people skills can carry you a very, very long way. And it shows integrity, helps you to build that integrity and how people see you as a person and maybe just being able to understand the other person. So yeah, that's what I say about that.
So, do you have any final thoughts on this topic?
No, funny though.
No, I don't have any final thoughts. My final thoughts would be just know that there are multiple different paths and options that you can take. And don't rush. Don't rush. Everybody grows in their own time. Every flower blooms in their own season. So continue. Don't rush. Don't panic. You will find your path. You will find your way.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, if you want to take a trade, go for that trade. If you want to go to college, go to college. And if you want to stay home because you have you need more time to decide whether it's trade or college, or you're staying home because you want to be that entrepreneur, just find classes and just keep going wherever you're being led to go. Just put your all into what you're doing.
So until next time,
Keep it classy.
keep it real. Stay blessed up. Until next time, JT signing off. Peace.